If you're growing wheat in a low rainfall zone, research is showing a break phase in your cropping program can have significant economic benefits. Back in 2010, when the 5-year crop sequencing program started, positive outcomes were expected, but results to date have exceeded those expectations. What set the project in motion was a critical change to farming systems that had been caused by the millennium drought.
The whole southern region was just coming out of that millennium drought, and in the low rainfall areas in particular, the whole landscape was dominated by long-term cereals. That's our most drought-adapted crop. It's our least risky one, the easiest one to market. So quite naturally, farmers were keeping to that as their mainstay crop.
Back-to-back cereal crops saw pastures and break crops being left out of the mix, break crops dwindling to just 2% of the farming landscape. This system change also created problems, and farmers started to see disease and weed levels rise and soil fertility decline. What wasn't as obvious was a way to manage these issues. To find an answer, a GRDC-supported collaborative research project was initiated involving 5 farming systems groups across 3 states. Commercial-sized trials of break crops were established, and varieties selected from the improved genetic material plant breeding programs had been delivering in recent years.
The reason we went to these field trials is that something field trials can do that you can't do any other way, and which farmers can't do, is to work out what would have happened if I'd done something different. If you'd gone into, say, I have a problem with grassy weeds, you've gone to canola as a strategy, you can't tell what would have happened if you'd done something else different, because the whole paddock's been committed to that option. Field trials, we can compare those things side by side and say, after 3 years, 5 years, whatever, we can say exactly what would have happened if you'd done something differently, under the same conditions, the same soil, the same management. And that's the real strength of these trials.
It's one of the most extensive trials of its type, with 40 different break sequences being evaluated. Pulses, manure crops, crops grown for hay or grain, and pastures, while the break phases have been allowed to run for 1 and 2 years. Where wheat has already been returned to these renovated paddocks, those running the trial have been encouraged by the results.
It's bordering on spectacular, to be honest. When we started the project, if you'd told me that you can get a 30 or 40% yield increase by putting a break crop into a paddock in the low rainfall areas, I would have said, fair enough. We've doubled yield in some circumstances by having a break crop in some pretty tough circumstances as well.
And there are precedents to suggest the benefits being seen in the first return crop of wheat will last beyond 1 season.
Other trials in similar areas are sometimes seeing benefits into the 3rd wheat crop. So we're hopeful at this stage that we'll see ongoing benefits.
Improved wheat yield and quality is only part of the break phase story. Grassy weed control is the other major objective, and in part 2, Nigel Wilhelm outlines the benefits being seen so far. Follow the link to the final part of Break Crops for Low Rainfall Zone Farming Systems.